thought what we would do is bring in Ben Taylor, prominent attorney here in town. Ben, you've been kind of analyzing everything that unfolded over the course of the last, well, now it's a little more than 24 hours, but pretty close to it. What's your take on everything that went down from a kind of a legal aspect?
I mean, legally, first off, it's a tragic event, either way you put it.
Oh, yeah.
But legally, it's going to be up to the government to decide whether or not they're going to want to prosecute this ICE agent, or they feel that he acted, reasonably. Was it necessary for him to pull out his weapon to fire to defend himself?
I'm going to go to some of the video that has come in regarding all of this. There are a lot of different videos that have been coming in, and some of them are somewhat chaotic. But go ahead with your point, please.
So ultimately, it's going to come down to whether or not he acted reasonably or necessary and proper in defending himself, or whether or not this is excessive force, whether or not he gets prosecuted or even civilly sued individually, or ICE gets sued based upon these interactions. So it's going to only time will tell, but there's going to be an investigation to see whether or not what really happened here. All angles of the camera, witness statements will be given and taken, and basically they'll decide whether or not go forward with prosecution or a lawsuit or no prosecution at all.
I'm glad you mentioned the cameras, right? We live in an interesting age where cameras are everywhere. So you have someone like this woman, Lynette, who took video, or the news cameras that are taking video, or maybe somebody at their home has Ring camera video, Nest camera video that they're going to be able to share with the authorities. Something that a lot of people are talking about is that the bullet hole in the windshield is it's through the windshield. So meaning that the officer who fired was in front of the vehicle, and that's what they're claiming, that it's self-defense. How important is that bullet hole in the front windshield to their defense?
That's extremely important. That's the type of evidence that a jury, if this were ever to go in front of a jury, would listen to. If he's claiming self-defense and this vehicle is coming towards him, that would make sense. If the gun or the bullet was fired on the outside and came through the side window or side door, they could say that, maybe it wasn't self-defense because he fired after the vehicle passed them. So that's going to be very key there. But you can still have a bullet go through the windshield, the front of the windshield, either if you're on the side or the front. The officer has a good aim. The officer can shoot no matter where. So they're going to analyze all types of angles, get all the witness statements to decide whether or not this is truly self-defense or was it excessive force?
So, Ben, one of the angles, there's so many different angles, but just breaking this morning, local officials in Minnesota are saying they're not getting any cooperation out of the federal government regarding trying to investigate this. What happens when you have multiple layers of government and there may or may not have been a crime involved? Obviously, there are people who are saying this was a crime, and there are many others who are saying he acted in self-defense. But when you have multiple layers of government, then what happens?
No, that's what makes it tough, Ron, and because the federal government usually is the ultimate authority, but the state government can still go in there with their own investigators to try to investigate. If they want to prosecute them on a local state level, they can still try to. There's these things called governmental immunity, and the federal government could come in and say, well, the officer is immune because he's an ICE agent, he's a federal employee. But the state could still try to do their own investigation, and there's a lot of government red tape, as we see, but they could still try to prosecute him if they felt that he wasn't reasonable in his actions.
When you look at, you mentioned witness statements, and you see some of these officers there, out on scene. How do you even begin to comb through some of the witness statements? I can imagine there are so many people out there.
Yes, they're going to interview the officers who are around. They're going to interview other witnesses, other protesters. They're going to interview everybody to try to get a great, picture of what happened. But ultimately, the video, no matter what witnesses say, we have this on video, so the video will be analyzed, and that'll be the key witness there is the video evidence that we see.
How about this from Troy in the chat? He's saying, couldn't he have shot the tire? I'm guessing they're trained to shoot toward the windshield. Police training, law enforcement training does kick in, and the reports indicate that this very officer had been dragged by a vehicle just within this past year of ICE operations. How does all of that play into it, just in terms of whether you felt like your life was threatened, which is my understanding is what he is saying, and maybe trying to shoot out a tire.
Yes, I mean, of course, the officer could have shot the tire if they wanted to shoot out the tire. But under our law, I mean, this could be very awful, but it could be lawful too. And what that means is, yes, shoot out the tire. But however, if the officer feared for his life and could articulate and say, I feared for my life because the car was coming towards me and there's evidence, he's allowed to shoot to defend himself under our law.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, we certainly appreciate all your comments in the chat as well. And so one last question. Who knows if this will ever go before a court of law, but is his previous experience, and he reported that he had been dragged by a vehicle in a previous ICE operation. Could that be a genuinely mitigating factor, or would they just focus on the events of that very day?
Yeah, I mean, the officer's experience, his previous actions, does he have a bad record? Is there anything on his record for bad acts prior? All that will come into play here in the investigation. Has he fired his weapon prior to this before? Is this his first time firing his weapon? So all this will come into play, whether or not he acted reasonably. But again, the video is the main thing. So no matter what his past history is, they're going to focus on this video, focus on witness statements to decide whether or not this officer acted reasonably, or should he be prosecuted in a court of law.
And the intent maybe of the officer as well, right? Because the video will also show that.
Yes, the video is going to show the intent of this officer. Did he really fear for his life? The facial expressions of the officer.
Oh, wow.
And how his body movement was. Did he really feel that this vehicle was coming towards him and he needed to shoot? Or could he have, run away himself? Could he have shot the tire like what the viewer was saying? Could he have done something else differently to make sure that this woman didn't die?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Well, a lot of good input from you, Ben, and people are appreciating your input, that's for sure. Yeah. So, Troy says that we need to keep you on speed dial.
Oh, thank you.
So if you're ever needed, and there are plenty of cases, not just this one that we could talk about. So, Ben, thanks.
Good to see you
too.
Friend.
Happy to help.
I like how you said awful or lawful.
Yeah.
Because that is
right.
very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Ben.
All right. Thank you.